New information about the U.S. soldier accused of killing 16 Afghan villagers in a pre-dawn rampage. The U.S. Army is now saying it will seek the death penalty against Staff Sergeant Robert Bales. He faces premeditated murder and other charges in the attack on those two villages that left 16 people dead, among them women and children, in southern Afghanistan, and that happened back in March. The attack drew such angry protest in that country, the U.S. temporarily halted combat operations there. Bales' attorney says his client should not face the death penalty because he was serving his fourth deployment in a war zone. He's due for a court-martial at a joint base Lewis McChord in Washington State. Ahead of that, though, let's talk about it with our guest, Dan Schorr, a former prosecutor. Dan, good to have you today.
Thanks for having me.
First, I want to start with what the defense team is saying. Multiple deployments, a defense. Why?
They're saying that because of multiple deployments, there was post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a tragic disease that many military people are suffering from, and it's very legitimate, and we need more mental health services to help our soldiers who are facing multiple deployments and mental health issues. However, that's not in any way a mitigating factor for the mass murder that is alleged here, where 16 people were murdered without provocation. So I don't believe that's a successful mitigation here.
Well, and what you're doing, too, I know you're kind of playing two roles for us today. You're prosecutor and your defense. You're also talking about the case that the prosecution, which in this case is the United States, against Sergeant Bales, has in its case. Tell me why you think it's solid or maybe not, what it might be missing.
Well, the allegations here are that he went to two different villages and he opened fire on innocent people, including multiple children, and that 16 people were killed. There's DNA evidence linking him to the scene. He was seen coming back to the base with blood on him. There were eyewitness accounts. There's also statements he made that seem to be confessions. Now, the military law says that you have to look at whether there's premeditation, which there seems to be here, whether there's aggravating circumstances such as mass murder or the killing of children, which there were, and then you look at whether there's mitigating factors, which the defense is saying there is, in the form of post-traumatic stress disorder, which is very legitimate. We need more mental health services excuse me, to help people who are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. However, it's not, in my opinion, a mitigating factor when you deal with the murder of so many people. All
right, so you've given us the two sides there of this case. If you need to take a quick drink of water, go ahead, because now I want to move on to something else. The U.S. military has not executed anyone since 1961, and Bales' case meets the requirements, based on what you just said, for the military to consider putting him to death. But, you know, Dan, so does another case, and we're not seeing this kind of movement on that one. I'm talking about the Fort Hood shootings and the accused mass killer, Major Nidal Hasan. He killed 13 Americans on that Army base in Texas. It's been 2.5 years. Will we see the death penalty against him? Better question, will we see any charges against him?
Well, certainly he's being prosecuted, and there's court proceedings that are going on. There was just an appeals decision about whether he can actually have a beard during his trial, and he will be prosecuted for murder. If there's ever going to be a case where someone should be prosecuted and the death penalty is used, this certainly would fit it. This is premeditated, this is calculated, and you had multiple people killed here.
All right, so we'll have to see what happens next with that. They have a new judge in this case, and that's caused some more delays, too.
Right.
It's set to get going again in February. We, of course, will follow both cases for our viewers. A quick topic change again with you, Dan, because there's some news that's breaking this morning. We're expecting a vote to come in the Senate on the surveillance law in this country. It was put forth in 1978. It's been renewed. They're looking at renewing it again, but there's been a lot of argument on the Senate floor. What is the problem with this? Well,
there's a lot of legitimate concerns that there's not a lot of oversight over FISA amendments, which are able to look at foreigners who may be doing harm to this country, but communications by Americans are also viewed. Emails, other communications, and people legitimately feel that there should be more oversight. We should know how the FISA court works. We should know how many American communications are actually looked at by the government, and people want amendments. Unfortunately, Congress once again is acting at the last minute, trying to renew something that's about to expire, and there's probably not the time to do the revisions that are necessary, and that's a problem here.
Because critics want this to be revised, as you just put it. The White House doesn't. It wants it to pass the way it is, and there are a lot of people who are in favor of it because they say it's helping to keep us safe, since there is homegrown terror in the United States, and we need to find it. I want to, if we have the words, put it up on the screen. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul had this to say on the Senate floor yesterday, and what he was basically saying is that this interferes and disputes the power of the Fourth Amendment, and that it needs to be changed. But again, Dan, you say we may not see any changes to it because the deadline is Tuesday.
It's really important to note that even the supporters of renewing acknowledge that there needs to be reform. There needs to be more oversight. We need to know more about how the FISA court works. We want more protections for privacy rights, but the supporters are saying there's not enough time. And then there's the question of, well, why is Congress waiting till the last minute at the end of the year to renew something that even the supporters admit needs to be revised? It's a problem we see in Congress on many issues, including the fiscal cliff, where they wait till the last minute, and then they say there's not enough time to do the real reforms that are necessary here.
Well, they did take time away from the fiscal cliff to debate this for 4.5 hours yesterday.
That's true.
So there is that.
Right.
Dan Shor, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.